Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It's after the close, actually a couple hours after the close on January 7th, 2013. And we're going to take a look at the S&P chart as we do every day. But before we do so, as always, got to remind you the website and the video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research. And you need to make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I am not a licensed financial professional. I want to be absolutely as honest as I can with everybody who watches these videos. I am not a licensed financial professional. As a matter of fact, I'm a professional photographer, for crying out loud. But I really enjoy, and I'm being a guy who draws lines on charts, even though that was hard to get out. So let's take a look at the chart. Well, I think we should be able to make pretty quick business out of today's chart if you have been keeping up to speed with what we've been looking at over the past few weeks. And that is, to begin with, just to recap, we were in this downward channel and made mention of the fact that once we break decisively over this line, this either this line or this one, and they're very close to each other, but just two different interpretations, then we should be in for some gains. Well, what I did not expect was that we would be doing those gains in about a day, essentially. So that big day where at one point, well, I think we were up 30 points and it closed up something like that too within 2 days. Well, actually more than that. We were down in the low 1400s, 1405 on the last day of the year. And then here 2 days later, we were 53 points higher. So didn't see that coming. But what I did see coming, and what we should have recognized, was that this steady descent, once it broke to the upside over these resistance lines, we could look for gains. Then we started this little funny looking flag that, instead of being a descending flag, which would have bullish implications, we started this ascending flag, which quite frankly has some built-in bearish implications. And those implications were that once this bottom line breaks, we should see this pattern then as a reversal. Today, that pattern broke, and I see this line now serving as resistance, which it did right after it broke early in the morning. Then we came back down, and now it looks like maybe we're rallying back and could back test this line again. But now you have to look at this line as being likely resistance. Now, the interesting thing about all of this is that we had this cluster of resistance trend lines, and it appears that the lowest of those resistance lines served to turn the market back, at least in the short term. And the reason I say that is because this is a rising line. We could sell back down tomorrow and then actually come back to the 1470s for another back test. But what all of this means is that in addition to these 1, 2, 3, 4 resistance lines, we now have added a 5th resistance line, and that is the broken support line that gave way today. Now, I'm not personally expecting a huge sell-off. I think that it is very possible that the 1440s holds. If we come down to test that, I would expect that to probably hold up. And the reason is because I'm looking at these two purple lines, and both of these are lines that have some pretty strong technical significance. One is both the neckline to our triple top from last fall, as well as the neckline to our sort of inverted head and shoulders pattern right here. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Now what's interesting is we have been mentioning we also have the possibility of looking at an even larger inverted head and shoulders pattern, that if we can get over this 1470 line with some gusto, if you will, then we could be looking at a larger pattern here that is yet to really finish forming the right shoulder, that could be pointing to a very nice gain. I'm going to adjust this. Of roughly 1600. However, I would be looking for a strong fight at around 1580. So, and I'm not exactly positive this is our neckline. At one point, I thought this would be the neckline, and it could be that this is the acting neckline. And if that's the case, then we actually end up with a target, given a breakout and a completion of this inverted pattern, that we would have a target that should take us up to test that red line. So if we do that and we end up testing that red line, I would think, guys, I just think discretion being the better part of valor, knowing what we know about what the markets have looked like on a long-term basis. And we're going to look at that again. There's that red line. I would think that might be a good place to say we've touched this line twice before, and the resulting move was a nightmare for bulls. So I'm thinking if we get up there for that third go at it, I think you learn from the first and second times, and probably look to really watch it like a hawk up there, because if it turns back, it could do so fairly swiftly. Now, just to be on the safe side and to be honest with you, as I always try to be, when we've gotten up to these levels before, the market didn't fall off that abruptly. Instead, we made a topping pattern. As a matter of fact, back in the year 2000, we had a couple of runs at that line. Back in 2007, we had a couple of rallies. If we go to a weekly chart, you can see it here. We had this go up to 1550, and then a pretty strong sell-off, but then we came back and actually made an even higher high. So, but I would look for any move up to this level up here to be followed by some strong selling pressure, just from the history that we have in this chart. But looking now back in the very short term, just to remind you, I think we've got resistance built into this chart in the 1470s, in this line right here, which is ascending, which is in the mid to high 1460s, soon to be in the 1470s. All of this seems to tell me that we're not going to get much higher than this, at least not in the short term. And since this line is broken, I'm thinking we're going to come back down and we're going to test some of these levels in the 1440s in the next 2 or 3 days. So guys, thanks for watching the video. Thank you for your support, and let's see what the market brings our way the rest of this week.